long and less than half a mile wide. And if you look at it from Google Maps, it's kind of shaped like a number 7. My hotel was actually to the south of Cancun, so this doesn't cover the area where I was staying. This island is connected to the mainland via bridges at each end, and it has calm, shallow waters off its northern side, wilder Cancun seas to the east, and a vast brackish lagoon situated between the mainland and the island. There are no street addresses on the Cancun island because there's only really one road. Places on the island are located by their distance in kilometres from the northern end of the one boulevard, which begins at the edge of downtown Cancun. Markers indicate every kilometre along the side of the road, so you can use the addresses. And as I'm not making much sense, here's an example. The bridge connects the northern tip of the island to the mainland, which is just past the 4 kilometre marker. The southern bridge to the mainland is at the 25 kilometre marker. So a hotel, whose address is kilometre 12, is around about 7.5 miles or 12 kilometres from the north end of the boulevard. Just to make life easier, downtown Cancun has regular street names and therefore addresses. The history of the area. It's the low-slung jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, where Cancun is, were first settled more than 2,000 years ago by the Maya. Their advanced civilization and elaborate temples continue to fascinate visitors, both scientific and casual alike. By the time the Spanish began their conquest of Mexico in 1519, the Mayan culture was already in decline, but the Spanish accelerated this decline with deadly European diseases and their advanced weaponry. Eventually, the northern part of the Yucatan was settled by landowners of Spanish descent, and the local Maya were used as cheap labour. Despite its scattered agricultural holdings, the area was largely ignored by the rest of Mexico, both during the colonial period and after independence. That was mostly because the region was very isolated and so forbidding that even during the dictatorship of General Santa Anna, it was only used to send prisoners because it is seen as being the ultimate punishment. And for centuries, the only practical way to get there was by sea, and the first rail line to the area wasn't built until 1949, and the first airline which flew from Mexico City didn't start until the 1950s, so until relatively recently it was quite isolated, as I said. In the 1960s, the Mexican government began scouting sites for a tourist resort, and the idea of Cancun was born. After years of furious building, the area became a city, and the first 2 resorts opened for business in 1974. And since then, Cancun has grown more and more popular and has stimulated a booming tourist business along the Yucatan coast. The island of Cancun now has no land left for building, but new developments with hotels and golf courses are being built to the areas slightly north and to the south of Cancun proper, like the hotel I was at was to the south of Cancun proper.
Step into the spotlight with me, Lucy, every Wednesday between 6 and 7 p.m. on Sounds. I'll have new music, the latest entertainment news, and interviews with local bands. If you're in a band, or if you have music that you think I should be playing, I'd love to hear from you. Email me, lucy@seclosounds.org, and join me every Wednesday from 6 till 7 for Spotlight on Seclo Sounds.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. So I'm talking about what there is to see and do in the Cancun area, should you wish to visit. And I'm going to discuss sightseeing now, and the sites that most Cancun visitors want to see, which just like me and my trip, are the beach and the ocean. And to be honest, that's probably a good thing because there aren't that many other attractions. There's no true casinos. There are historic sites, but there's not many of them. And there's very few public parks or garden. And because it's been developed for tourism, there's no real historic neighbourhoods to go and see either. You could try popping into the hotels, as they can be attractions in their own right, especially if you're staying in the Zona Hoteliera. and you'll find variations based on Miami Beach or Las Vegas, all mixed with Mexican themes. However, some of the all-inclusive hotels may not allow casual visitors. It is possible to escape from the resorts, however. Ruinas del Rey provide a decent, if brief, introduction to the ancient world of the Yucatan. The shores along the lagoon, which, particularly the southern end, are less developed and more protected from the open sea, and they're rich with bird life. Most hotel desks do sell lagoon tours or something billed as a jungle cruise, and it's actually a boat ride through the lagoon looking for tropical birds. These are frequently bundled with a stop for snorkeling in the Caribbean shallows. If you are interested in the Maya history and culture, a visit to one of the more of their ruined cities inland is essential. Tulum on the coast south of Cancun is the closest, but it does fill up with tour buses. Chichen Itza, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is the most famous and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Cobra, the least developed of the 3, is a vast shady jungle, making it ideal for an afternoon visit. Local tour operators offer convenient packages, or you can hire a car and organise your own visit. But in the various hotels, there's so many tour desks that you might as well just go on an organised tour and find out more rather than trying to do it yourself. As an example of how few historic sites there are, I'm now going to start with one of them, which is actually the Cancun Center, which is a building, and it's more than just a building. It's 153,000 square feet convention exhibition center, and it's one of the top 5 in Mexico, and it's a landmark in its own right, which shows how little there is to see in Cancun, to be honest. The surrounding area of the centre is a hub for activities that range from shopping and eating to disco dancing. It's kind of described as the Times Square of Cancun, and it's located at the point where the main thoroughfare turns south. The Ruinas del Rey, which I've already mentioned, is the most extensive of the few ancient Mayan ruins on the island of Cancun, but it is small compared to Tulum or Cobra. Or Coba? I'm sure you know how to pronounce that correctly. It's spelled C-O-B-A. The most remarkable thing about the ruins may be their setting, which is hidden in the midst of a modern resort area. Though they are well marked with directional signs, the ruins include 47 structures, not all of them reconstructed. There's a small ceremonial centre and temple platforms dating from AD 1250. Which is thought to be important when the city was a port. It's also a great spot to watch and photograph large iguanas, which lounge on the sun on and around the ruins. And a note, which may not be in some of the tour guides, but here's one for you: mosquito repellent is recommended during the rainy season in the summer. And these ruins on the island are open daily between 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. And the admission is quite reasonable, around about $3 US dollars, not American pesos. While I mentioned mosquitoes, it was actually great to be on a holiday and not get bitten. I always get bitten when I go to the Caribbean, and we forgot to buy insect repellent when we went away. So we bought some in the hotel, and I was a bit concerned about the lack of choice. But perfectly honest, didn't need it. Wore it for the first 2 days and never tried it again. Didn't get one bite. But I guess as you get into the jungly areas, you will need something to keep the insects away. Moving on to the neighbourhoods and districts, downtown Cancun was built to house the workers who were constructing resort areas of Cancun during the 60s and 70s. As a result, this has given it a more typical Mexican flavour than the island, and it's become a popular place to visit, especially for visitors who need a break from the hotel and beach scene. Downtown Cancun consists of super manzanas, SMs, or superblocks, in which short streets run off main avenues named after archaeological zones. Easy for somebody to say. In the centre of each superblock is a small park. In the commercial heart of downtown Cancun, there are many shops, stores, banks, cafes and restaurants. The street is also Avenida or Avenue Tulum, is also home to some moderately priced hotels that appeal to the budget-minded vacationers or holiday makers, or those who are searching the less touristy parts of the area. You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. I have said there's not much to see and do in Cancun. It's not strictly true. There are some amusement parks. There's Wet n Wild, which is a multi-million-dollar water park owned by Palace Resorts and is the only one in Cancun. Activities, as you expect, include wave pools, lazy river rides and bumper boats. A highlight is where you can swim and play with dolphins, www.dolphinaris.com.mx/Cancun. The park is extremely popular with young kids, honeymooners and families with grown-up kids. It's open between 9 in the morning and 5 at night. It's around about $50 per person. Children are a little bit cheaper, not much though. And as you ask for more, because that just gets you into the Wet n Wild park on its own. The swimming with dolphins costs between $120 to $200, depending on the level of interaction. And you can be a trainer for a day, and that costs $170. And if you buy a dolphin program, you get into the park for free. Or you could say that the water park bit is added into the dolphin fee, depending on how you would look at things. There's also Crococun, which is a crocodile and reptile zoo south of Cancun, near Puerto Morelos, which is near where I was staying. You can see more than 300 crocodiles and learn about the croc's lifestyle and evolution. You could try walking through a compound full of live crocodiles, and you can also see other animals native to the Yucatan, including monkeys, snakes, deer, and you can feed some of the animals. Buses and minivans are available in the Cancun and Playa del Carmen area and to take visitors to this zoo. There's also an interactive aquarium where you can watch sharks and other local marine life in these aquariums. Tour guides identify the various fish that feed around the nearby coral reefs. It is the home to the largest barrier reef in the world, apparently. And the program costs vary depending on what you're doing. You can swim and play briefly with dolphins, which are between $85 and $140. You can feed the sharks from $35. Entrance into the aquarium on its own is around about $10. Or you can be a trainer for the day, which is $250. And like the Wild and Wet water park, if you pay for the more advanced packages, then you can also access the main aquarium for free. When it comes to recreation, the outdoor fun in Cancun is all about exploring the warm, clear Caribbean Sea. Nearly every kind of water sport is available. I did see one or two bits of it while I was just lounging around at my hotel. And the easiest way is to rent gear or find an operator through your hotel. As I said, the hotel have plenty of tour desks. I think there was 4 different tour companies where I was. And there's also golf courses, health clubs and tennis courts, if you're not that into the ocean. The hotel I was staying at had its own tennis court, but it was far too hot for me. Even to look at it was just too much hard work. Of course, there's the beaches. Where I was in secret Silversands, the sea was a bit seaweedy for me. I know some people don't like spiders, and I don't understand that because I have no problem with spiders at all. But I just seem to have a problem with seaweed. It's all yucky and I feel it on my legs. And although the beach was cleaned every day, there was an awful lot. But it's not all like that, because they do have some gorgeous white sand beaches in the area. But they're not necessarily the best place to swim. While I was there, the caution flag was flying for entering the sea, even though it was relatively shallow, and you could go out an awful long way and still only be waist deep. But it is quite a wide part of the ocean, and the waves can be quite interesting. They didn't seem that bad, just a bit interesting on some days. I mentioned the flag that was out. A white flag means swimming is excellent. Green signifies good and normal conditions. Yellow, which is the one I saw every day, was urged use caution. And black or red means conditions are unsafe. If you don't see a flag, you don't know the water conditions, don't swim.